Hello.
Hey guys.
Dr. Lauren, Dr. Erica here, and today we're going to chat about the most frequently asked question that we've gotten here in the past 10 plus years of doing this work, which is, what are you doing? If you've heard of us, if you've experienced a session on the table with us, interacted with us, you may know that we're a little bit different than your traditional kind of practitioner or healing modality, and there's a reason for that. And we understand we are so different that people have these burning questions. And so we just want to dive into all the layers of that and hopefully answer all the questions. That we have a spectrum of people that come in here who say, I don't know what the heck you're doing, but I feel great. I feel better in my body. I feel more present. I feel more adaptable, X, Y, Z. And then other people who are like, I need to know everything. And I love those people. I love all of you people.
There's a third category too of the person that's like, I'm seeing awesome changes, but I need to explain this to my wife or my friends, or how do I tell so-and-so about this? So
and again, it's different. Like what we do is different. It's not your traditional, like everyone knows what acupuncture is. It's so ancient and has so many years of experience. What we're doing isn't necessarily new. It's just a different way to work with the body, work with the nervous system.
And I really believe the simplest way, the most innate way, and the natural way our body's meant to heal and thrive, which I believe has also led us to this point of making this video, because that question, the way we answer it, can be so simple. The body can heal. The body can thrive. It's actually what we're meant to be doing. It's so outside of what we've been taught and what we've been conditioned to believe. But I think for a lot of people, when they start to feel that for themselves or to understand that for themselves, a lot of shifts start to happen. A lot of changes start to happen. So the body can heal is quite literally, I think, our biggest principle, and from the inside out. So we're going to be going over, what is our nervous system? What's happening when we make these light, gentle contacts, physically, mentally, emotionally, and as I like to think, energetically or soulfully. So if this is you, stay tuned, and let's begin. Let's dive into this.
So I think a good first place to start is the nervous system.
Yes.
We hear that word a lot. It's become somewhat of a buzzword as well. And maybe people don't know the ins and outs of it, but we understand it's pretty important and very, very powerful. And one of my favorite principles about our body, about our nervous system, is that's always working for us. It's always wanting to heal. It's always wanting to thrive, to adapt, to work with. And so we work with that nervous system. Again, you hear us talk about that a lot and how powerful it is. And we believe that it has everything you need to feel better, everything you need to heal. We're just helping kind of turn up the volume on its power.
So whenever I think about the nervous system, I think about like a massive telephone system from our brain to our body. It's like this massive electrical system, essentially, that runs from the bottom of our spine all the way up to the top. And it's how we move it's how messages from our brain go to our body to move our fingers or digest food or talk or have thoughts and conversation. And it's like a two-way highway up and down our brain. So what we're working with, guys, is essentially just this telephone. We're helping it communicate better. We're helping it move a little bit faster, a little bit more optimally, just be a little bit more efficient on the inside, because the way we also look at the body, I think, is like a giant computer system. And I think that a lot of people that have had a lot of life experiences that have broken them down, overwhelmed them, stressed them out, they operate a little slower. They operate a little bit with a smaller bandwidth, whereas other people feel like they're like these new iPhones, laptops, and things happen instantaneously for them, or they can take on a lot of experiences. So with that analogy, I think that the body is a circuitry. It's a circuit of information going from our brain to our body. And if I get a cut on my arm, I don't have to be like, send platelets, heal this. Or it's like, it's not like the Band-Aid, it's not the Neosporin that heals this. It's actually something beautiful inside me that knows exactly what to do, given the opportunity, giving the momentum. Where, when you're first born, I think about the nervous system too. It's one cell from your mom, one cell from your dad. And these things came together and they created the hundreds of cells, hundreds of trillions of cells that you are today that coordinate this entire body, this entire experience. And scientifically, like all of us went through school, anatomy and physiology, we can explain to you how that happened, how in cell division, cell mitosis, meiosis, all of that. But the actual miracle of how this whole thing was orchestrated, I really believe we have to give that power to something greater, and that something greater lives literally inside you. So our biggest message to people is like, you are your own healer, you're your own facilitator, you're your own leader. And what that means is that whenever you guys come in here and we start putting hands on you, it's not me doing the healing, Lauren, Matt, or Monica. It's actually your body. It's your body doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
That's how powerful our body is within this space, but also our nervous system is an extension of who we are. It's how we interact with our world, with our environment. And so you may notice in the life experiences that you've had, you go through an experience, and whether it's really joyful, really amazing, or you learn something in life, or something really challenging and stressful and traumatic, your nervous system also went through that.
Yeah.
So this beautiful circuitry, that's always there, that's always true, but the way that we integrated those experiences, or the way that we perceive them, the way that we process them, if we didn't fully heal, then that beautiful circuitry isn't working at that 100%. So that's where we tune in and like help you, again, all those unhealed or unintegrated patterns in our body decrease our body's ability to feel adaptable, to feel really good, to feel present.
So when you guys are in here on the table, I think the simplest way to like practically use this information is to think about, and it's not even just thinking about, this is how your body works, but blood flow, oxygen flow, nerve flow, they all move in like a cyclical formation, meaning it starts from the bottom of your spine, goes up your back to the top of your head, and down the front again. So it's making this beautiful rhythm of its own. Sorry.
And even like the pulse within, like let's say this is your spine, there's a pulse that happens from the top of your spine, your atlas, to the sacrum, the bottom. And there's just always this pulse happening within us as well.
And with that pulse, it's sending communication, it's sending information, it's interpreting your environment, telling you if something's good, bad, ugly, yes or no. And this is all happening kind of in the background without you even thinking about it. So consciously, we have sight, sound, hear, smell, taste, touch, all of that. Subconsciously, it's like 95% of our lives are happening in the background, or these like background tabs on a computer that we don't even have to think about. It's like programming that our body already knows what to do with, kind of like riding a bike. But with this nervous system too, I think that for a lot of people, the way that we were innately built or innately meant to thrive, again, giving ourselves the time or the space. This is a really good example where if we've had a lot of overwhelm or we've had a lot of life experiences that have kind of weighed us down or made us feel low, or I hate to use this example, but it's such a good one, had like the loss of a loved one. Our body goes into a state where we need less stimulus. Maybe we're only around family for a certain period of time, or we're at our houses, or being like really comfortable. And I really believe that same ability of our body to like know that it needs that is its healing capacity. It's telling us something on the inside. We need that space. And with that space, with that time, our body starts to do something incredible. It starts to process. It starts to integrate. It doesn't feel so scary or big anymore.
So then it becomes like, how well are you listening to your body when you need that space? And again, our world isn't really designed to slow down, to listen, to tune in, so we get into trouble that way.
So for most people, they come in here and the first thing they do is our reset phase, where they're on the table for probably, it's about 4 hours for the first month. And that's it, where we break it down either into 15 minutes sessions, 30-minute sessions. But what these sessions do is actually create so much momentum of connecting back to that healing capacity, connecting back to that 100% state where our brain and body are speaking to each other fully, where this may be the irregularity for a lot of people, where they actually start to feel good when they're on the tables. So over time, what happens is you do anything for 30 days, for any period of time with the nervous system, it's gonna do something incredible. But people come in here, they lay down on the tables, super light, gentle contacts up and down the spine. They do that continuously for the next 30 days, reset phase, whatever it is. And we know I wrote down an entire list of things that happen inside the body when we actually do this: increased vagal tone, parasympathetic states, like cell regeneration. I wrote all that down, but I was like, that's not even answering the question for you guys. So I want to break down physically, mentally, emotionally, and energetically what's happening when we're laying on the tables.
And if this is, maybe you've gone through a reset phase, or you kind of like, yeah, these things kind of sound familiar. I always let people know too, especially when they first come in, I don't know what you're going to feel and when, but what I do know is that we're gonna meet your body wherever you're at, and whatever is gonna come up for you is for you. And that could look like increased mood, like energy and better mood. It could be physically feeling better, more energy, more rest, etc.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to this video, you've probably been under care for a period of time and probably are experiencing changes for yourself. And if not, I think we have a lot of videos on YouTube that would really bridge those gaps of what's actually happening and what changes people have felt for themselves too. So I just want to address this first. So physically, we're making light, gentle contacts. And like I said, if you guys could think of this thing as a massive telephone system, and this massive telephone system communicates like this, it goes through cycles. If you guys, we've had the honor, I guess, of working with a lot of people that have been through trauma. And one of the first groups of people that Lauren and I actually saw, we had a group of women coming here from out of state, and they were all in a program together. From our client had recommended this to them, but they were all in a program where they had all had some kind of sexual abuse, sexual addiction. They were recovering from something really abrasive to their system. And a lot of the people that we started working with during that period of time, like when they would lay on the tables, this is a really small example, but this happens with everyone. That second center, there's 7 big energy centers throughout our body. And if you would cut the body open like a cadaver, you would see like a big, like, it looked like a big like goop almost.
Like nerve bundles,
Nerve
basically,
bundle.
yeah.
Yeah. And that big bundle would have all these like little, communication, little lines. It's actually your nervous system, but moving to your feet and your organs and all throughout your body. And these 7 bundles are essentially like 7 little mini brains, or 7 little points, centers on like when our body's talking to itself. So whenever these 7 centers for these people, all with this second center, it felt like this whole area, instead of the energy moving so smoothly up the back of the spine, down the bottom like this, our body, or their bodies, it felt like a lot of it would go up the spine. This area was so dense, so compacted, so stressed, so tight, so, along with that, they were having like a lot of gut, bowel, bladder, digestion stuff too, but back pain. But the body would do this, move up the first center, and this is too dense, too stuck. It's almost like a highway. This is not the way to go anymore. Big traffic jam. So it found all these little back roads up into this third center, up into this fourth center. Maybe it got back on the highway, this center. But by the time we got to the top of the head, there was no more oxygen flow, no more blood flow, no more energy flow. And
like a kink in the hose, imagine.
Yeah.
The flow in which that life force could be going isn't at full blast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever I think about that, I'm like, it to me is kind of like a highway of communication. The central line, the body likes to be the most efficient it can so that it can keep recycling this energy. We can keep growing and adapting and thriving from these experiences. But like we said, our bodies are made perfectly. And if that efficient system no longer is available, our body's like, all right, I'll do you a favor. I'm gonna hold on to a lot of these experiences, upset your stomach, have some back pain, a lot of stuff going on, but I'm gonna find these alternative routes, because we still need to move, breathe, live, go through our days. But I'm gonna maybe do it with 80% of the energy, because I can't.
That's all I got.
It's all I got right now.
I'm trying my best over here.
This is the best I got. So the body will do all these distortions, and this can be shown, I think people really understand this physically, like with patterning or posture, where if there's somebody that has, like people will come to us like this, and this pattern or this posture actually signals something to the brain as well, where when we're in this state, actually a better example is like smiling. When people are going through, like, we did a lot of like speaking things whenever we were in school, but I remember one of the things that we did when we were in school was they were like, look at yourself in the mirror and just smile. What that actually does in your brain is increases serotonin and a bunch of other really good chemicals, tricking your brain into thinking that you're actually happy. So to exude some of that confidence and to exude some of that energy, it was almost like reverse wiring the brain chemistry of smiling to induce happy feelings, to induce confidence. I know that's a lot to say, but the same thing happens negatively in the body when we accumulate or store patterns as well, where we'll work with people that this is kind of like maybe where they're at. They're having neck pain, having back pain, feel like really disconnected, maybe going through a breakup, having like heart space, communication issues, whatever it might be. And that pattern actually day in and day out is signaling to our brain, I feel pain, I feel tired, I feel whatever it is. And when they lay on the table, not only do we start opening up different routes from the body to connect with the brain, the body actually remembers, guys, these old back roads too. So the next time people feel overwhelm or stress or disconnection, when the body starts healing and starts regulating, not only does that traffic jam up the middle start to relieve itself, but in the case of being really stressed or overwhelmed, it will actually start moving up some of those, it will have those back routes available to it as well, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
No, okay.
I was gonna say with like posture and patterning is kind of what we're looking at whenever person lays down physically. We're seeing where in the body, from the bottom of the spine up until the top of the head, is there tension? Is there stress? Is there nerve flow? Is there openings? Is there expansion? What's happening on the inside? Or how well is the bottom of the spine, like Lauren said, communicating with the very top? So in a very complex way of saying that, what we're feeling for is flow, number one, tension, patterns that feel like they want to go back or forward, and we're just feeling for that innate cerebral spinal fluid, or that.
Yeah, and as far as like what we're actually feeling tactile, like with our touch too, is like there are so many different layers to what she's touching on, which is, yes, there's the physical component, there's like, you know, the fascial, the muscle tension, the muscle tone, we can tune into those things, you know, whether like scar tissue's there or like how stressed are the ligaments. But there's also a lighter layer to that, which is the energy of things. When we were saying earlier how our nervous system is an extension of how we perceive our environment, you know, everything is energy, including our body. It's broken down into these subatomic particles and atoms and space. And so, you know, we're holding on to it. Yes, we have physical components, but the light touch part comes into your body doesn't need much.
Yeah.
You know, imagine like there's, you know, a pond and you throw a little tiny pebble on it and it just has this ripple effect all throughout. I mean, very similar, you know, idea, an analogy to what we're trying to do, especially when the experience came in, maybe it was traumatic. If I meet it with the same level of like trauma and intensity, your body's not going to feel safe. And feeling safe is like the number one priority to when we're working with your system, is you have to feel safe in your body to be like, hey, it's okay to let go of this pattern. Hey, it's okay to let go of this tension.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think our system with that patterning or posture, like if you could think about it, guys, like something, you know, with that person that's like kind of like this. To me, when we start working with this, I'm like, they're having neck pain. How long ago did that start? 5 years ago? Okay, what was going on 5 years ago? Anything new, stressful, different? Because what Lauren and I are basically explaining is the body keeps the score. The body holds and accumulates these experiences for you.
I'll say there's even intelligence in that. It's not wrong that, you know, you're going like this. It's your body's way of like protecting you, right? It's like, oh, this happened, I was here, and maybe some kind of pain happened, and you close off here, and then your body's like, well, I had to keep looking up, so we keep looking up, and so your neck's like, gosh, this is a lot with this being closed. It all has these connection points, and especially with posture, people get very weird about like, oh, I have to like check my posture.
Yeah.
I'm like, your conscious like awareness of your posture is maybe 1% of it. There's so many other layers involved. But what at this stage of what we're talking about is we're just tuning in. We're just noticing where you're holding your patterns, how you're holding your patterns, so that we can meet them there and start to make those shifts.
And the last thing I'll say on this physically, our next door neighbors are the Chattanooga Ballet. And we just had one of them come in recently, and she's like a 12-year-old ballet dancer. And I was like, really what we're doing, and with an initial with a 12-year-old is much different and honestly much more complex. They have really good questions, but we're going back and forth. And I said, we're just helping your body find more alignment between the brain and the body so that your energy system isn't depleted or drained as you're doing all the things. Because those back roads, even though they're efficient in helping us in the time being, they actually take more energy than that beautiful highway, or we get there way quicker with that beautiful central highway for efficiency. And she's like, I know exactly what you're talking about with alignment. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, like if you're doing ballet and your body is not in this, like, I forget what the word, but like pivot basically, this pivotal like head,
line,
yeah, this line basically is what you're looking at whenever you're looking in you have like a big mirror with ballet for that reason, to see if your brain and body are in alignment and your shoulders are where they need to be, simply because if you're not in alignment when you're doing some of these like really complex ballet moves, your body will start to experience so much more physical pain because it's in so much more of a tension state rather than if you're in that central alignment. So honestly,
cool.
I think that's like
Well
one of
said.
the best examples I can use, but like that's exactly what it is. If we're in these like funky ways where we've held and accumulated so much energy, all of a sudden we go to the gym, we don't see gains anymore because we're doing these things from a empty gas tank. Or when we go to sit down and be creative or do our careers or whatever it is, we don't feel as inspired anymore, or the energy system within us feels like it's running on fumes.
Also similar, if you've ever had an injury to your hand, to your foot, knee, things like that, you notice like there's an injury and then your body starts to compensate to, to protect that area. That's a really dramatic version of like, you can really feel maybe you hurt your foot, but your hips are hurting. Well, your hips are hurting because it's trying to all work to help protect your foot. And so that's like a physical example, but we're doing that on a daily basis where, you know, people don't understand why they feel things where it can just be like that. Like that's just how your system's trying to compensate for something else.
Yeah. And too, like I said, like our body is not just like one arm and one shoulder. It's like this beautiful, intricate, connected system. It's not just like a bicep and a delt. There's connective tissue, ligaments, fascia, a bunch of stuff in between here. So when we're making our contacts where we're making them, it's not necessarily like people say like, you touched my neck, I was having back pain before this. Or you didn't even touch my...
It's all connected. Can I touch your shirt?
Yeah.
It's like if I tug on her shirt here, the whole shirt moves. You can't maybe see it because it's a black shirt, but the whole thing's moving. And so maybe this is really tight here, but she has pain down here, but maybe it helps me release it from here to help the whole thing kind of go.
So I guess where we make contacts is maybe, I mean, for me to go into the whole like experience of what we learned and the geometry of the body is a little bit, I don't think that serves people. I think to know that we're making contacts with the intention of better communication between the brain and the body, I think that's the best way to look at it physically.
And yes, there was loads of training involved to help find the patterns, to help find, you know, where we hold all of that. But overall, that's what we're doing.
That might be a video for another time.
Maybe a whole dissertation up for another time.
But let's get into this mentally, emotionally then. So the next area that I think people see the biggest changes in is mentally, emotionally. And a lot of words that come up, a lot of buzzwords with that seem to be, a lot of people actually are coming in, not even just like therapists anymore or psychologists or MDs, like regular everyday people watching TikToks, watching memes are starting to understand parasympathetic and sympathetic and branches or tones of the nervous system really, really well. I think because we are all our own healers. We're all learning this information and we're all starting to digest this in a way that makes sense. So really the next thing that I would say that what our process is doing is putting our body in a parasympathetic state. So when our brain and body are speaking to each other with 100% communication, I like to think about that as 100% balance, dynamic balance, homeostasis, where the body's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. If we're living at like 30, 40, 85%, and we go into this 100% state when we're on the table, oftentimes people will say, I feel so calm. I feel so energized, or actually I feel like I could take a really big nap right now. And it's kind of like a little bit of a washing machine effect, because as the body starts to unwind, like we just explained, it starts to feel safe again. It starts to feel comfortable again. It starts to let go in different places. With that shirt analogy, the whole system starts to speak to each other a little bit better, with a little bit more communication, a little bit more love, a little bit more grace, a little bit more ease. But we're just teaching the body how to get back into this parasympathetic state. So when we have stress or overwhelm, or our body's accumulating so many experiences, it starts to move its tone into this sympathetic state, where everything we experience now feels heavy or overwhelming.
Sympathetic, aka fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight. Sympathetic, fight or flight, parasympathetic, rest, digest, calm feeling. And I think the more our body goes into these parasympathetic states, the more it remembers that that's our baseline as well. So when people lay on the table, it's a lot of unwinding that's happening, but I think people come in here and they have a hard time switching from that sympathetic back to this parasympathetic, or vice versa, where life experiences have happened, people have become hypervigilant or really attuned to worst case scenario, what's going wrong. And the same way that we told you guys this body and brain communicate, our brain actually doesn't know a difference between what our body's actually telling it. So it will interpret everything as worst case scenario. Or we work with a lot of new moms as well, and dads. Number one things I hear from them is sleep stuff. And sleep is quite literally one of those basic parasympathetic functions. So if you're a new mom or a new dad or have any kid that you've gone through this with,
you don't get a lot of sleep.
Yeah, we hear sleep is like the number one thing, and then they'll start to say, but that bleeds into everything else. That bleeds into how I show up at my desk in the morning, or how I communicate with my partner, or everything in our lives starts to become affected because we're doing everything now from a sympathetic state.
So more time spent in parasympathetic energy in that state, more healing can happen. Mm-hmm. You know, when they talk about fight or flight, classic example, you know, a tiger's chasing you, like you have blood flow that goes to your muscles, pupils dilate because you have to be ready to fight. And so if you're in a constant state of having to be ready to fight, the rest of your body's like, well, don't worry about healing me right now. I gotta go fight.
I only have so much energy. I will
Yeah.
divert it all to this.
So more time
mountain we have to
spent,
move.
you know, and again, that becomes kind of this low level thing, that pattern that happens in our body where maybe the tiger is gone and it's been gone for years, but you still feel like, oh my gosh, what if it comes back? And so you never have that space or time to get that full deep recovery. And if you follow any athletes, like where research is going on, everything, how the most important part of, you know, being a high elite athlete is recovery and sleep. That's like their number one priority, because that's typically when we're in our parasympathetic. And so recovery, like this gives you like that, it's almost like the power nap of all power naps.
Yeah.
To have more time spent in that parasympathetic state. That's when your body feels safe, like, okay, cool, now I can heal. Now let's go pay attention to this, pay attention to this.
I have like 2 examples of this just very quickly. We have a woman who does, what is it? Tai Chi, sorry. Or no, Qigong, sorry. She's a Qigong practitioner. And she's been doing this for decades of this. And what she said is when she does this practice of Qigong, she can move energy. She can start to feel it like moving up and down her spine. And when it starts to do this beautiful thing, this rhythm that I'm talking about, it actually starts to build upon itself and builds energy inside the system. And for her, a lot of the times when she's starting to feel dysregulated or overwhelmed or really in her mind space, she'll start to do this Qigong practice, get back in her body, help the system get back to that parasympathetic, back in that flow state. And from there, she starts to feel shifted and changed. And these practices of Qigong are like 45 minutes is what she's explained to me. And when she lays on the table, she does 15-minute sessions once a week. And she's like, 15 minutes of laying on this table gives me almost the exact same energy output or like burst of energy that she feels after doing Qigong for like 45 minutes. So for me, what this is saying is this is our body's ability to start switching that light switch a little bit.
Oh, and to touch on the mental emotional piece, because that's what we're on right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that. So
Yeah.
the reason why we keep talking about the body is like when your body is in that stress state, you know, your mind has a pattern that tags along with that, which is like she said, like hypervigilance, what could go wrong, anxiety, blah, 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 blah. You're buzzing in your head, you're disconnected from your body. And so when you do feel safe and you do feel calmness in your body and that essence that you with that feeling of you just feel calm within yourself, again, more time spent there, now your perception of the world looks a little bit different. I've sat down with hundreds of people at this point who have said, it's actually crazy when they say this. I'm like, are you guys all talking to each other and then coming to tell me this thing? I mean, it's trippy, but they say something along the lines of, I felt like life was like this, like happening right in front of me. And now when something happens, I feel like I have a little bit more space where the challenges are still there. The stress is still there. You know, the bad, mean coworker is still there. The crying baby is still there, but you feel this sense of space and, you know, you can feel yourself interacting with whatever the stress and challenge is, versus before you're like, oh my God, everything's terrible. Like really, really intense mentally, emotionally, and physically.
Yeah, and I think like just to maybe bridge the two of what Lauren's saying and what I'm getting at here is when you lay on the table, this is like an intentional pause for your system, and not a pause that it stops, but old patterns running on autopilot actually slow down enough that your system goes back into its normal, natural thrival state. Where I think for a lot of people that's really different. But another analogy of this is like, you know, the mom that, you've probably heard this story like on the news or something, but a mom that like, I don't know how she does it, but like lifts a car like off a baby. Like we've heard these things. Mom strength, yeah. But she has like enough adrenaline in that moment to lift a car off of a baby. And what that actually shows in the system is, yes, the system can squeeze itself so tightly that it can have that much of an energy output. But what they're finding is that whenever we look at studies or any kind of data on this, that the brain can actually be going through that same amount of energy output, that adrenaline output, just sitting at your house watching TV. Like sitting with your partner, and all of a sudden you're bringing your entire day of past to-do list or work or whatever it was, or whatever's coming next for you guys, and all of that is going through your mind at one time. And that takes up so much energy. So even just to lay on the table for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, it's like that intentional pause. It's allowing your system to start to recalibrate again, or start to reset itself, or to get back into that 100% state so that we can continue that momentum moving forward. And then the last thing I was going to say about that is, I mean, this is so nutty. I guess I'll get into the energy point of view with this because it's
a bridge that.
Yeah, so I'll get into the next one actually because this is kind of a bridge between the two of them. But there is an energy aspect to this. There is a soulful experience happening for a lot of people on the table. And this is the part where I think this gets way out there in the quantum science, but I'm going to break it down really simply for you guys. When we're in those sympathetic states or that fight or flight state, like I said, it doesn't have to just be being chased by a tiger. It could quite literally be you thinking about the homework that you have to do right to now, or whatever it is, the to-do list going on, that put our system or our brain and body in that our breath starts changing, our body starts changing, our oxygen flow starts going faster, heartbeat starts speeding up. But whenever I looked at this on brainwaves, this is what really, really bridged the gap for me. And when people are in that really high thinking state, or problem solving, reasoning, like we're having this communication right now, I have notes, I took all this, I'm in a higher like alpha brain state. And it's really great, right, for doing our day-to-day tasks, communicating, being a human, but most people kind of get locked in that really high to-do, overdrive, looking at all the details kind of thing.
If you have a hard time falling asleep at night because that's really when it amps up too, I feel like.
Yeah. Or a hard time bridging that gap between that sympathetic and parasympathetic. This kind of like walks your body back into the parasympathetic, but it also has the ability then to start expanding too. We can get into that in another video, but with our brainwaves, what they actually start to do, we say this word coherence a lot, but our brainwaves actually start to sync up. So those really high alpha problem-solving waves and these extremely slow, beautiful theta waves of inspiration, imagination, kind of like outside of us, bigger creative idea kind of thoughts. It's when you're sleeping or meditating or in a flow state is when theta starts to take over. So high alpha, theta, we have a few waves in between here. They actually start to sync together, where these high alpha waves start to find a pattern within that theta. These beta waves start to join as well. And the system will actually start to go into a beautiful rhythm. And science is showing this as gamma waves happen to the body, meaning that our brain and messages from our body start to open up new parts of our brain, or new parts of our brain start to light up on imaging that weren't available to us before the gamma waves started to happen. So I know that's so
I'll say it in an unscientific way. When you have these moments of like aha moments or hits of inspiration, rarely do they happen when you're stressed AF, right? Like,
never.
Like if you're in a stressed out state, it's rare that you're like, oh my gosh, I have this amazing idea of what I want to do with my life,
Yeah.
But what people will find, and again, this may be giving language to an experience that you've had, depends on where you're at on your journey, but when you start feeling better in your body, you have these moments of clarity. We've seen it, and again, there's things that happen in here in REV that are unexplainable, and it's hard to communicate because, yes, someone comes in because they have anxiety, because they have pain, but then you see their trajectory of their life just go so upward, and it may be like, it could be leaving a career that they've wanted to leave for years, and they're actually going to pursue their whole thing, or leaning into the relationship more, or XYZ, whatever it may be.
Cancers, like these things.
It's incredible. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, these things that when one person tells us in the very beginning, I'm like, oh my God, amazing for you. But after, and I don't mean to laugh about it, but like hearing it again and again and again, I wish all of you guys could actually hear each other, because you're like, this is crazy for me. What is happening? And it's happened so many times where all four of us, me, Laura, Matt, and Monica, will have a conversation about these beautiful transformations that we could quite literally never have predicted for people, could never have seen this coming, basically. And when it happens time and time again, it's actually repeatable. It's actually not so intangible anymore, where that's kind of what we want to get into here too, of like, there really is this infinite piece of the adjustment. Call it intuition, call it like a soulful experience, but when we make a contact, there is an information exchange coming from a field of regulation into a field of regulation, giving more data, more knowledge, more insight. And that really, I think, is the biggest piece of our work, is we're just showing your body where there may be some blind spots. Because I think for a lot of you guys, if you knew how to move through whatever it was you were going through, you would. We'd high five on the street, we'd see each other, and that would be kind of the end of our day. But no matter how many times I get adjusted, I'm still blown away by this beautiful capacity, because it's kind of like having a friend put a mirror quite literally up to my system and allowing my body the same way that dancer looks at the mirror and sees how to move just a little bit more efficiently too. So there is an intangible piece of this too. That's an energy component. That's a soulful experience. That really is
And that's
innate.
what I love about what we do and how we work with people is that when these people make these changes, experience these changes, move differently in their life, they did it. Like, you're doing it. And it's like, we have everything we need. And again, we meet you wherever you're at. But it's also important to share these stories of just like, there is kind of this mystery that is involved when we start a journey with someone of like, we don't know where your life's gonna go, but like, you'll always have a space here to tune in, check in with your body, like increase its ability. I mean, I just had a consult yesterday that, I mean, her main goal, she had some physical pain, but her main goal was just to feel more clarity in this next transition that she's moving into. We see a lot of people who are like in between things, and that's an uneasy place to be sometimes for people. It's like the ground that you're used to is shifting and moving, and like all you have in that moment is your center, is that thing that's like that life force within you that's guiding you through the world, and they just want clarity. And it's like, this is an exciting, pivotal part. You know, it's like, who do you want to be in this next stage, or what that looks like? And it always starts here.
And like, to me, it's kind of like a frequency thing, because the more experiences we're able to have that are outside of us in some way, stressful, exciting, overwhelming, and our ability to come back to our center is actually really all I care about, because that is how we determine frequency. How many experiences can you have? How much stimulus can you have? And how quickly do we come back to ourselves without accumulating these things or wearing something down inside of ourselves? So for me, whenever I think about frequency, you know, I have a frequency, these plants do, Lauren does.
Vibrational frequency.
Vibrational frequency, like this rug is not alive, it does not have a frequency. It does not have experiences. So for me, when people start laying on the table, it gives almost that pause in between that sympathetic, like I said, and that parasympathetic, or the brain-body connection. And what it allows the body to do is to start integrating some of those experiences. Instead of that mind space with all those background tabs taking up, you know, something that happened to me whenever I was 5, taking up all this experience, and whenever I encounter people today, it triggers that same response. We actually slow that pattern down just enough that our brain gets to choose again, like, is this real? Is this serving me? Is this thought going to keep continuing? What would happen to me? Like, these are really big things that happen on the inside for people time and time again that we do have an explanation for. Like I said, scientifically, I can explain it, but what actually happens is so infinite and so miraculous and inside each and every single one of you guys. Yeah. So to put too many words to it for us takes away from that infinite experience and starts putting it in this finite box of possibility. Yeah. So go ahead.
And just as anytime we talk about, you know, this process, people's experiences, I always have like a warning label, and you may have picked up on this by now. We're by no means saying there's the finish line of health and healing and like optimal living, and you cross it and then it's done and over. It is a journey. It is something, you know, that you have a choice to try on for yourself of like, and again, it's just so fun, the people that I'm talking to who, when they first came in, they just had no idea what to expect. And now I check in with them and hearing how their life is, and they are a new and different person than they were when they came in. And the life that they're facing and interacting with now is so different because they're so different. It's a continuous journey. And, you know, even the problem solving are exciting things that, you know, them a year ago wouldn't have even fathomed of like being able to do it. So overall, this is a mentality, it's a philosophy, it's a way that we approach the body. And again, my sole hope and intention is to have this be empowering for you, and that we are not telling you this is, you know, how you're gonna heal, this is black and white, and this is how you do it, and there's the finish line. That's just not the game that we're playing.
we have no answers for you guys. Like, if you guys have sat with any one of us, we are guides, we are here, we're happy to share information. Our nervous system often tells a story of our life or patterning in our life, but you guys are the ones doing the changes.
And we're gonna be here along the way just to help support, like, we're on your team kind of thing. So that's like the mentality that I'm really curious if we missed anything that, if you had a question that we didn't touch on in this video, to let us know.
Please comment below, like, let us know. We're happy to answer these questions, or if there's a really specific part that we didn't cover here, send us in the comments. But the main message we want you guys to walk away with today is that you guys, the healing that happens is all within you. Every time we reach these states of healing, our body remembers that healing. Every time we connect with ourselves, our body does this. Regulation, at the end of the day, is all self-regulation. All we're teaching your body to do is to get back into these states. The more we do that, the science shows, the more our body can heal, it can thrive. But my encouragement to you, whether you're in Chattanooga or maybe you're not even close to us, you have that ability within yourself. So do something today where you sit down and afterwards, after doing it, you feel shifted, you feel changed, because the science shows, guys, that alone starts bridging a lot of gaps between our brain and body. So again, you're the healer, you're the architect. We're happy to help though.
Thanks for tuning in.
So if you guys like this, if you like this video, please like, follow, subscribe, let us know in the comments, but more videos to come, so please keep these questions coming.